Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. How are you, good people of the algorithm is doing? I hope your week is going well, right? It's Tuesday, right? I was off today. But shout out to everyone. I hope everything is going well. I hope everybody enjoyed their holiday. I hope everybody enjoyed the inauguration of this great country. I hope everybody's having a good time, okay? I do have three cases for you. So when you're coming in, just hit the like button, share if you think anybody would like this type of content, and we're going to get into it. I'm sorry if I seem a little bit under the weather. Please forgive me. It's about 16 degrees up here where I'm at. So it's really, really cold, and going in and out kind of gives me a little bit of a headache sometimes. But don't worry, I'm gonna rock it out with y'all and have like a lemon tea later on. Okay, let's see. I want to say shout out to Miss Jalen. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you, sis. A shout out to Young Riaz. Thank you so much for coming in. I truly appreciate you. Shout out to you, sir. And let's see. Oh, hey, college football. Good to see you, sir. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. All right. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes. And everyone, please stay warm because I heard that, it's some crazy weather going on in states that normally don't have that type of weather. Like up here, up top, we're used to it, right? We're used to during the winter weathers, we get crazy weather. Sometimes it'll be like, I don't know, -1. Sometimes we'll have crazy winter storms and stuff, but I've been seeing that New Orleans got hit pretty hard with heavy snow. Texas got hit pretty hard with heavy snow. So please be careful out there, guys. Please be careful. Take all precautions. Watch out for black ice, like seriously, all right? Especially if you're not from an area that's used to this type of weather, okay? I hope y'all really do take care. All right, so let's see. The first video that I have for you guys is we're going to go over an interrogation of a woman called Giselle Esteban. She was a friend of a woman named Michelle Lee. Michelle Lee ended up missing. However, when we get more clues, we realize that Giselle knew more about the missing of Michelle more than she let on. And the interrogation was quite interesting because it seemed like this person was supposed to be your best friend, but it doesn't seem like you was really best friend with this woman, right? It's more on a frenemy type of situation. So we're going to look into that. Let's see. Oh, thank you so much, Miss Jalen. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Shout out to the $5 super chat. I appreciate you. And she said, thank you for naming the shirt after me. You're welcome, man. Cállate, cállate. Hey, Warren, how are you doing, sir? I appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you so much. Brenda says, woo, listen. America, America, right? We're gonna get it together. It is what it is. We all in it together, right? Let's see. I have no light, no. Oh my God. I hope you're okay. Free me. Oh my God, that's terrible. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say with that. Oh my, that's just terrible. I'm so. Oh my God. Okay, let's see. Young Ria says it's 3 degrees in UK. Oh, that's cold. That's cold because when I was in UK and I went for the winter, yeah, that's freezing. Y'all weather is really different too. I thought it would be very similar to upstate weather, but it's not. It's a whole different type of breed. Joanne said, "I'm Canadian. We're yeah." Shout out to Canada, right? Y'all not that far from me anyway. Yes, shout out to you. Yeah, you tend to get used to it, right? You tend to get used to it. Yes. Oh, okay. Miss Jalen said, keep my friends and niece in prayers. Oh my gosh, she hit a tree and oh my God. Prayers to you and your niece, Miss Jalen. I'm so sorry that happened. Please, my prayers to you. Freemy said he got Wi-Fi though. I hear that, but let's hope that everything else come back on, okay? Let's hope everything else come back on. And Omar, hi, how you doing? Thank you for stopping by. Oh my God, let's see. Hi Dash, how are you doing? Oh, you know what? Good girls don't tell, right? Good girls don't tell. All right, so let's take a look at this this case, please. Okay. So let's see. Let me pull it up for you guys. And here we go.
I understand at one point you and Michelle were close friends, is that right?
I considered her my sister.
And then what happened?
She made a mistake. Scott made a mistake.
And was that when you were with Scott, or had you guys broken up, or?
Hey, Braden,
No, we were
I'm
still
so
together. We
sorry.
get to
I'm
a
glad
certain
that you're a
point.
cancer survivor.
How do you
I'm
feel
glad
about
you
the
made
fact
it
that
through. And happy
she's
birthday
missing?
to you.
I wish you guys would find her.
Hey, Lente, how you doing? Thank you for coming.
And since you and Michelle used to be so close, what do you think is going on with her?
Hi, Jen. How you doing?
No, I don't know who she is anymore.
But as far as you know, this would be very unusual for her, right? To have just gone missing?
I don't know. I don't know Michelle anymore. I stopped knowing her a long time ago.
On May 27th, 2011, a 26-year-old woman by the name of Michelle Lee can be witnessed leaving the hospital that she was currently a nursing student at, 1 hour before her shift was scheduled to end. She can then be witnessed driving her vehicle out of the parking garage. About a half an hour after leaving the hospital, Michelle's on-site supervision and teacher became concerned about where Michelle had gone while being on the clock. She was normally very punctual, and ditching her studies abruptly was not something expected of her. So her teacher then walked out towards the parking garage, where Michelle normally parks her vehicle. She notices that Michelle's vehicle is no longer parked there, and decides to head back inside. However, before she could make it to the stairwell, she believed she could see Michelle's vehicle pulling back into the garage. She runs closer to the vehicle to confirm that this is indeed Michelle returning. She was unable to see inside the vehicle, but was confident that this was Michelle's car, so the teacher begins to wave. Michelle's vehicle then immediately stops, shifts into reverse, and speeds away, leaving the parking garage again. This encounter was dramatic enough to cause concern, and so Michelle's teacher then dials 911. Officers made several attempts to contact Michelle via phone calls, text messages, and emails. All of these attempts were ignored, so investigators then reached out to any friends or family of Michelle to inquire if they knew her whereabouts. Michelle's closest family.
All right, so everybody's just tuning in. What happened is that Michelle, the missing person, left abruptly. The teacher got worried because this girl is a good student, very punctual. So she just went down to the garage to see if she's okay, if she's coming back to class. Then she sees that her car is coming back to class, but she was trying to look to see if that was her. But whoever was in Michelle's vehicle sped off out of the parking lot completely fast. So that made her very worried. And this is when 911 and her family members start to get involved. Yeah, it is very suspicious. Shout out to you, Lloyd. How you doing, sir? Appreciate you. So let's go on.
Family members lived about 8 hours away. They stated that they tried to contact Michelle as well, but had no luck at all. Any of Michelle's friends stated the exact same thing. One friend even told officers that Michelle had planned a trip to Reno, and that the departure date was actually the day after Michelle went missing. And so, officers became even more concerned, and the investigation slightly ramped up. Michelle's vehicle was located the following day parked approximately 10 minutes away from the hospital. It was discovered parked and locked in an area by the name of Ponderosa Court. From the outside view, Michelle's vehicle appeared to be very clean, and by looking through the windows, everything appeared to be normal. By this point, copious amounts of phone calls and messages were made or sent to Michelle and left completely unanswered. So, Michelle's closest relatives decided to make the 8-hour trip to dedicate more energy to the search. It wasn't until a few days later that Michelle finally replied. Michelle then apparently went on a text message response tour and replied to many other messages in a similar way. These messages appeared to be robotic and emotionless, so friends and family of Michelle became even more concerned after receiving them. Police then took each of Michelle's individual responses and compared them with each other. They found a series of duplicate texts, as well as a common theme amongst each text being, "Leave me alone, I am fine." The messages from Michelle's phone then suddenly stopped, and the officers felt certain that the operator of Michelle's phone was not Michelle. Investigators then decided to focus their efforts on the people that knew Michelle best, her family and her friends.
Yeah, that sounds weird. And hi, how are you doing, Ash Trevino Clips? Nice to see you. That seems very weird, right? They've been looking for her, no answer, no response. She doesn't answer back until like 2 days later, giving robotic messages. I'm fine. I just needed a break. Don't worry about me. My phone died. And it doesn't sound like her, right? And I think sometimes we forget that a lot of the way how we talk in real life, we can actually talk like that via text, right? Like the way how we were presented if someone was speaking to us face to face. Some people actually write exactly how they speak. So you kind of get a hint of who you're speaking to. And I guess that became very alarming to her family, that doesn't sound like Michelle. That doesn't sound like how Michelle would speak to us via text. And they have evidence of how Michelle speaks or how she writes via text prior to this situation. So yes, the investigation is going to grow after that, because now those robotic messages hit up everyone who was looking for her, and then it stopped like nothing. So let's see what else is going on now.
They asked if Michelle had a history with any abusive boyfriends. They asked if Michelle had any business deals go awry. And then they asked if Michelle possibly upset anybody that they knew of. They then received a name. This is Giselle Esteban. Michelle and Esteban had been friends for many years, originally meeting when they both attended Mount Carmel High School together, and then later both attending the same college together. Esteban was known amongst Michelle's family and was at one point considered an extremely close friend, until the last year or so when she started to appear jealous of Michelle. The problem arose when Esteban began dating one of Michelle's very brief ex-boyfriends, Scott Mirasegan. Over the course of the several years leading up to 2011, Esteban and Scott appeared to be in a fairly sturdy relationship. They would go on to have a child together and even attempt to have a little family together. Unfortunately, Esteban's love for Scott quickly went from a healthy relationship to beyond obsessed. Esteban became unstable emotionally and would lash out several times. Her insecurities escalated and she started to become slightly delusional. She would make claims that Scott was cheating on her and eventually become obsessed with the possibility that Michelle and Scott were carrying on a sexual relationship behind her back. These claims were incredibly false. However, Esteban's delusions became worse as time went on. Scott eventually broke it off with Esteban, and Esteban angrily reacted by quickly moving 2 hours away and taking their daughter with her. Scott then took Esteban to court and was granted primary custody of their daughter in August of 2010. After the judgment regarding custody, Scott then picked up his daughter and they both returned back home. Esteban later followed in order to maintain a close relationship with her daughter. Since both Scott and Esteban frequently visited each other while sharing custody, they eventually began to have sexual relations again. Esteban then found herself to be pregnant again in late February of 2011. Investigators then took all of this information very seriously.
Yes, the plot thickens, doesn't it, Lord? It definitely thickens. Okay, number one, right? Stop. Sometimes some relationships ends for a good reason, right? And we have to just accept that some relationships ends for a good reason. But I think one of the reasons why she moved close, and even though she'll try to use the excuse of the daughter, she knew that she was trying to get back with him, because like I said, the whole breakup led to her being somewhat obsessed with that relationship. So, she was wanted to be in proximity so she can be around more. And, those lazy days, those days when you don't actually want to take a date, it'd be like, hey, I've been around the block a number of times with this lady or this guy, you know, when I'm feeling lonely, I can lean on that person. And sometimes you think in that moment it's a good thing, and it's not. It's not a good thing. You can probably cause yourself more hell by trying to, track back than actually just moving forward with a healthy mindset. But I think it's very alarming that she did she was started to become jealous of her long time friend, because the longtime friend was in the relationship with this guy for like 3 to 4 years prior to you getting in a relationship with him. So in the back of her mind, I think she always felt that if she didn't get with him, then he would go back to Michelle. And that a part of her obsessiveness was also created that jealousy too, because he chose Michelle first before he actually, decided to start something with you. So in the back of her head, she always felt that she was playing second fiddle. That's what I'm starting to see about it. But let's go on.
and their focus then turned to Giselle Esteban.
We'll hear about Michelle Lee. Michelle?
Oh God, what about her?
She went missing last night from her work.
Okay.
And talking to her friends and such, we understand that you guys had a tumultuous relationship.
A tumultuous relationship? She was my best friend who slept with my then fiance. How long has she been missing?
Since yesterday.
And have you guys tried calling her? I have no idea how to help you with that one. I've actually been trying to look for her.
Since when?
Almost a week now, to tell her to stay away from my daughter.
The search continued with very little progress, and so a decision was made to offer a $20,000 reward for any information leading to the whereabouts of Michelle Lee. A handful of tips came in, but none of these tips led to any progress in the search. Investigators then made the decision to do a deeper search of Michelle's home and car. It was during these searches that investigators found enough blood to determine that Michelle Lee was likely no longer alive, and the search changed from a missing persons case to a homicide investigation. This caused investigators to handle things a little bit differently, and so they started again at the beginning. Investigators returned to the hospital that Michelle practiced and was last seen at. They began asking questions to any other staff working on that day. As it turns out, one of the nurses that was on shift that day stated that Michelle seemed to be in a rush before she left. She stated that Michelle stopped by her at about 6:45 p.m. and said that she left something in her car and she will be back in a minute. Michelle then left and never came back. The investigators then decided to do another search of the parking garage and Michelle's vehicle. They then quickly discovered more blood and a mysterious ID card for the same hospital. Michelle's co-workers were then questioned regarding the ID card, and all of them stated that they did not believe Michelle was friends with or even knew the owner of the card. And after checking the internal system, they found that this specific card was reported missing within the days before Michelle's disappearance. A second nurse working at the hospital that day gave the police another new tip. Apparently, about 35 minutes after Michelle left, a call was received by the ER department of the hospital. The caller stated that they were actually Michelle and that they needed to speak with their teacher about something. The nurse then told the caller that they could not help them, as Michelle worked in an entirely different department and that they were unaware who the teacher was. The caller then replied, "It doesn't matter. Tell my teacher I'm driving around town because my dad had a heart attack and I can't figure out which hospital he's at. So I'm driving around looking for him and I won't be back today." When investigators tracked down Michelle's father, it turns out that he was actually back home in Vietnam and had not suffered any heart attacks. Many hospitals were also contacted regarding Michelle's possible attendance that evening, but this didn't lead to any progress in the search. The search for Michelle Lee was beginning to feel as if it was going cold, and so the reward was increased to $100,000, and the family made the determination to hire a private investigator to assist. Many searches took place, many tips were followed, yet Michelle Lee was still nowhere in sight. The police then decided to release Michelle's exact movements on the night of her disappearance as traced by her cell phone. She first left the hospital, did a loop around Hayward County, drove back to the hospital, reversed out of the hospital aggressively, and then last pinged driving towards remote Alameda County. Investigators were beginning to lose hope that they would be able to locate Michelle, and so they decided to focus more on the one person that they had originally been pointed towards, Giselle Esteban.
You and Michelle were...
Yeah, I can understand why they felt that they was losing hope. But the thing about it is that, okay, Giselle and Michelle, they both have dark hair, right? Maybe what the teacher saw in the parking lot, she probably thought it was Michelle, but it wasn't. It was Giselle actually driving her car. They also haven't explained whether or not if that call to the ER saying that, oh, tell my teacher I'm not coming back for the rest of the day, did that actually come from Michelle's phone number or did it come from another phone number, right? So they didn't tell us that. Then another thing is like, oh my God, I forgot another thing. I'm just literally like putting certain things and pieces together. I want to know about Giselle, right? do she work at a hospital? Is she also a nurse? She might not work at the same hospital as Michelle, but if she does work at a hospital, right, she can probably have access or speak to somebody else who works in that hospital to take their ID. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they found that fake ID well, it's not a fake ID, but they found that missing ID in the car. But that ID was called to be missing 2 days prior to that. So like, I'm wondering, was she scoping around her hospital, trying to grab somebody's ID, put it in there, potentially make it seem like they're the one who was riding her car? Like, there's so many things that is coming in my mind about Giselle's participation in this, especially what Empress said in the chat. Yes, you could tell the disdain that she has for her. You heard it in the phone call what she had with the detective. She was just like, well, I just wanted to, I hope you find her. I wanted her to stay away from my daughter. But why would she be with your daughter if, she's not having no relationship with the guy? You're having relations with the guy. Hi, Max. How you doing? Thank you for stopping by. Okay, let's go on. Let's see what she has to say in this interrogation.
We're close friends, is that right?
I considered her my sister.
And then what happened?
She made a mistake. Scott made a mistake.
And was that when you were with Scott, or had you guys broken up, or?
No, we were still together. They made the mistake twice.
When was the last time that you and Michelle actually spoke?
I don't know. I only remember seeing her at the meeting.
Back in December?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And what has happened since then?
I don't know.
How do you feel about the fact that she's missing?
I wish you guys would find her already.
And since you and Michelle used to be so close, what do you think is going on with her?
I don't know. I don't know who she is anymore.
But as far as you know, this would be very unusual for her, right? To have just gone missing?
I don't know. I don't know Michelle anymore. I stopped knowing her a long time ago.
But needless to say, you don't like her.
Yeah, that's evident. That's
Okay.
very clear.
How would you classify your dislike for her?
Possibility for it. Strong possibility.
What do you mean? I just dislike her. I don't.
I mean, do you hate her? Do you want to see something bad happen to her?
No, I just want her to stay away from my child.
Giselle Esteban sat through this entire interview, attempting to appear as though she was not involved in any way. She attempted to come across angry at Michelle, yet also concerned about her well-being. However, Esteban mainly came across as emotionally void, appearing distant from her answers and almost purposely shut down, something we've seen in other interrogations.
Was you friends with her?
Yes,
Close friends?
we were good.
I mean, y'all were friends, right? Both of
Yes.
y'all are law students. You're studying to be an attorney, right?
Yes.
What kind of law do you want to go into? Criminal law?
Yes.
Civil? Is that what you want to do for a living?
Yes.
Okay.
Regardless, Giselle Esteban did not give up any important details or potential clues regarding her involvement. However, her overall demeanor definitely left investigators suspicious of her. The next move that investigators made was regarding the stolen hospital ID card that was found in Michelle's car. They tracked down exactly when and where the card was used last. Then, they pulled up the CCTV footage of those scanning locations. The person that can be seen wandering through the hospital that Michelle practiced at is none other than Giselle Esteban. This video was recorded during the days before Michelle's disappearance and appears to be Esteban canvassing the location. She had headed into the hospital very early in the morning, posing as a fellow student, and at some point got her hand.
Didn't I call it? Didn't I call it? I called it. I called it. I called it. I called it. I knew that she had to go and steal someone's ID and she used it as a way to find her schedule, know what classes she was going to be in at the time that she was going to strike, and she left that ID in that car. I knew it. I completely knew it. And I knew that she was going to take advantage of the fact that, they do look very similar and they both have dark hair. That's crazy. Let's go on. I knew it. Wow.
Hands on the ID card while she was still there. The owner of the ID card was actually away on vacation during the time that this video was recorded. Another recording was also discovered while investigators were following up a cell phone ping from Michelle's phone. This other video actually shows Esteban replying to a series of messages while pacing around a room. The duration of the time she spent replying to these messages appeared to line up with the times that Michelle's contacts began receiving response from Michelle's phone. So, investigators then began to assume that Esteban was using Michelle's phone during this moment, and they decided to look further into this to attempt to confirm this assumption.
Yep.
In the month before Michelle went missing, Giselle Esteban's ex-boyfriend and baby daddy, Scott, began feeling uncertain about Esteban's mental stability. He noticed her becoming more and more volatile when anything Michelle-related came up, and he even sat through a public outburst where Esteban tossed a hot coffee on him. Well, she called him a POS. She continued to spiral, making a plethora of unfounded accusations regarding his potential encounters with Michelle, and eventually began sending aggressive messages to both himself and Michelle. She first sent Michelle this: "If you were really anybody's friend, mine or Scott's, you would just F off and leave my family alone. But all you are is the who had nothing better to do and followed me to SF. That's all you will ever be. The who slept with other people's men and brothers because nobody wanted you. You aren't my friend. You are always just a parasite." Then she created a group message and sent both Scott and Michelle this: "You two really do deserve each other. I hope you get what you deserve. You are both pathetic. You with no dreams or goals and other chasing after. You with no dreams or goals and other chasing after someone else's dreams because she has none of her own. You are both parasites." And as if it couldn't get any worse, Scott felt threatened by Esteban while the two were with their daughter, driving and arguing one evening. And so, he decided to record her.
I asked you, can we just be honest about Michelle, because she's the one issue that I really, really am having a hard time dealing with.
That's not what you said at all.
Yes! Okay,
we
well
didn't
then
talk for
fine.
days.
Starting from now, we are going to be honest about Michelle. Do you understand me? Whether you sleep with her, whether you share food with her, whether you talk to her, you will be honest with me. Look at me! You will be honest with me regarding her. Otherwise, I will take your life and hers. Mom. And you can take that to the grave with you.
Why?
Why? Because you lied about her so many times, it's hard to believe that you didn't sleep with her and lock her up. You deserve to die for your lies, as does she. And you will. If you do it again, this is your last and final warning.
Why?
Do you understand me? It's your last and final warning.
Scott then went on to file a restraining order against Esteban, complicating the two's ability.
All right, ladies, we gotta stop doing that. Okay, we gotta stop doing that. We gotta get to a point where you gotta prioritize yourself and your mental health. Okay, if you are so miserable and uncomfortable with or full of anxiety about the guy that you're with being with somebody else, or he had experience in relationship with that person, I don't think you should be with that person. Like, you really gonna have to learn how to let go, right? Because it's not even about whether if the person do something behind your back or not. If you're not even feeling good in the relationship, why the fuck are you there? You're gonna have to learn how to let go. Even that is not even good for your mental state, right? That type of anxiety. When you're in your relationship, you should feel safe. You should feel safe. You should feel respected. And once those things are out of the window, then that relationship is no longer good for you. It's no longer good for you. And this is besides whether or not if that person is doing it or not. Because even if the person, let's say he is not physically, or she is not physically cheating on you, right? The simple fact that your mindset is now full of, being depressed, being stressed, being angry, not feeling safe, not feeling respected, why would you, endure being in a relationship like that? You're never. Why are you going to put yourself through that? No. That's when you need to you just walk off. You need to just check out at that point. Doesn't matter if they're cheating or not. If you're starting to feel that type of anxiety, you're not in a good space or a good place for yourself. You should just move from that. But let's go on. She literally threatened him and that girl's life, and they have it on recording. And that was enough information that he needed to get a PPO against her because she made a threat on his life and her life. And that's what I'm saying again. Like, you're threatening him, but then you're doing all this because you want to be with him. That's not love, okay? That's what she doesn't understand. You're not in love with the guy. You're possessive, right? You want to possess him. You want to control him. You want to control his every move for your security. It's not because of the relationship or love. That's not love. How you threatening someone that you love? Oh, I will end your life. Okay. Now, if you're mad about that, like any little thing, you're going to end his life when you're mad about? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Think about your health. Think about your mental health too. It's very important. Very important. Joanne said, "Ooh, she is hyper-focused on him." Yes, she is. She's definitely hyper-focused on him and Michelle. And even when he's dealing with her, he's literally in a car with her, he's messing around with you. You're still focusing on Michelle because in the back of your mind is that he will go back to her because you know that he is interested in her. So, like I said, why do that to yourself? If you can't just be like, all right, he's attracted to that woman and I know they had a relationship, but he's with me now. If that's not good enough for you, right, that you have to constantly need reassurance that he doesn't want to be with that woman, then you're in the wrong relationship. Just remove yourself. Let's go on.
Ability to communicate or even share custody. Esteban then reacted again. She continued spiraling, believing that Scott wanted this separation just so he could spend more time with Michelle. Then, just 3 days before Michelle went missing, Esteban reached out to an old mutual friend of both her and Michelle, and repeatedly asked him for Michelle's new address. Apparently, Esteban wanted this information as she was now looking to file a restraining order against Michelle. This mutual friend claimed that he didn't know. Then, during the weeks shortly after Michelle's disappearance, Scott walked out to his vehicle. As he inched closer, he could see that somebody had broken into it. There was no damage or anything stolen. However, what he found caused him to believe he was being set up for something. He found Michelle's cell phone in the back seat of his car. Scott then immediately dialed 911. Investigators began compiling all of their data, and it appeared as if the case against Giselle Esteban was nearing complete. They managed to gather a rather large list of evidence against her, including the CCTV history showing her posing as a student the day before Michelle's disappearance, her DNA in Michelle's car and on the mysterious ID card, her cell phone GPS history aligning with the movements from Michelle's own cell phone, and the underlying potential motive of extreme jealousy.
Look at me! You will be honest with me regarding her. Otherwise, I will take your life and hers.
The final piece of evidence that led to the arrest of Giselle Esteban was a sizable amount of Michelle's blood found on Esteban's shoes. Just under 2 weeks later, the body of 26-year-old Michelle Lee was discovered in close vicinity to the location of her final cell phone ping.
Family members and volunteers looking for a missing California woman made a discovery Saturday.
One of the search party members did discover remains. And right now, that's all we know. There is nothing that indicates gender with the remains. The body is decomposed.
The searchers had been looking for Michelle Lee. The 27-year-old nursing student disappeared while taking a break from classes at a Hayward hospital. Just this month, police arrested Lee's former friend Giselle Esteban. Police believe Esteban attacked Lee in the hospital's parking garage. Esteban told San Francisco television station KGO that she hated Lee because Lee was friends with the father of Esteban's 5-year-old daughter. But Esteban denied having anything to do with Lee's disappearance. Saturday's search was the 8th organized by Lee's family. The remains were found in the same area where police believe Lee's body had been dumped by the suspect. Matt Friedman, The Associated Press.
Initially, her body was unrecognizable, but her identity was later confirmed by comparing dental records. Giselle Esteban's trial began in October of 2012, and her plea was not guilty. She went on to claim that Michelle's death was accidental. Esteban claims that she was actually going through extremely high stress at the time due to the restraining order from her ex and her inability to see her daughter. So, when she approached Michelle to talk, she had a total breakdown, and things went from bad to worse very quickly.
Not her trying to say that her unaliving her best friend out of fit of rage and jealousy was an accident, and then try to say that she she was going through a lot of mental stress. Listen, we know that you was going through a lot of mental issues, but that doesn't give you a right to unalive her. That's not an accident. You premeditated. You pretended to be a student so you can steal someone's ID. You waited for this girl or called this girl down to the parking lot to her car and did whatever you did with her, kidnapped her body, dumped it somewhere, and took her phone and stuff. You were sending messages to her family pretending to be her. And like, are you crazy, lady? And you sitting up here? Yeah, I mean, we know you're crazy, but are you ridiculous? Like, you really think that you're gonna paint this as a accident? You hated that woman. You loathed that woman. There's no accident. Michelle says she got those eyes. Yes, hi, Michelle. Good to see you, darling. Yes, she do. She got those eyes. She's in a fit of rage. She loathed that woman. She really hated that woman. That was not a friend. That friend thing went right out the window. And then on top of that, it seemed like she even tried to set her baby father up for Michelle's death at the end. Like when the police started, going around investigating and calling her in and stuff like that. She tried to set him up, saying that he did it. But why? You're the one who's adamantly hate this woman, saying that she has something to do with you not seeing your daughter, you messing with the guy, and then you ended up not getting the guy. But like, if you was really focusing on your daughter, you would not have done this, right? No, you hated this woman. I just can't believe she tried to use that, oh, the mental breakdown, it was an accident. No, you planned this, lady. You planned it very, very well.
Regardless of her defense and potential hopes to receive a lesser sentence, Giselle Esteban was found guilty of the first-degree murder of Michelle Lee and was sentenced to life in prison in December of 2012.
Two local families torn apart by a murder sparked by a jealous rage.
Today, a judge sentenced Giselle Esteban to 25 years to life in prison for killing nursing student Michelle Lee.
Kimberly, the two women were once best friends here at Mount Carmel High School. Today, a judge sentenced Esteban to 25 years to life behind bars for a murder he says was cold-blooded and premeditated.
Giselle Esteban never apologized for killing San Diego nursing student Michelle Lee, convicted in October for her murder. Today, an Alameda judge says she never showed a hint of remorse.
Giselle gave birth to her and Scott's second child, well, behind bars.
That was a real crazy case for me. It really was a real crazy case for me because, I'm sorry. That mental is not going to do it for me. It's not going to cut it for me, boo-boo. All right? You premeditate to take this woman out. They got a recording saying that you was going to harm her, unalive her, and your ex. And you do all this, but it was your ex who got the order of protection against you because you started being violent and acting crazy around him. So you thought by having another child with this man was going to, quote unquote, link y'all together even stronger, and everything was going to be fine. Like, I don't understand what she was thinking, but the simple fact that you did that to this girl that was supposed to be your best friend. You grew up with this girl. Y'all went to junior high school, and college with each other. And before this, for you to do that to someone that you spent pretty much your whole life with, and y'all families became close and y'all known each other, like, you don't understand how many lives you affected by you doing that. as well as your own daughter, right? And the child that you're having, the child that you had in jail, they're not going to get their parent. They're not going to have their mother, right? So was it all worth it at the end? You still don't get the guy. Now you still don't get your children. And this woman that you supposed to have been friends with is no longer here, and families are on your side and her side are hurting. It's not even worth it. Not even worth it. And she was not apologetic at all. She did not care. She didn't say, I'm not sorry. She was like, that's what they deserve. That's crazy. Who are you to decide that? Hi, Washu. She says, a sociopath indeed. No apologies. Yes, exactly. Definitely sociopath. Michelle said they can hide the crazy, but they have a hard time feeling empathy or sympathy. That is correct. That is correct. It's easy for them to hide the crazy, but you can't hide you being sympathetic or empathetic or not being, not being those things, right? All right. So the next one I have for you guys is a case about a woman named Rebecca. And she thinks that she's going to get away with murder. This is an old case because I could tell by how they're dressed. And this definitely looks like late 80s, early 90s. But I wanted to look into this. All right. So please hit the thumbs up while you're in here and share or to anybody who's interested in these type of cases. And let's go on.
3rd, 2008, Rebecca Fenton called 911 after she found her husband's body lying on the floor of their Florida home.
911, what is your emergency? My emergency is I think my husband's been shot. My house has been burglarized. I just walked in. I'm not getting a pulse on him. I just came in from the gym. Okay, what is the address there, ma'am? It looks like a burglary. My God.
When the police arrived on scene, they found Larry Fenton's body lying just inside the doorway to his home. The cause of death appeared to be 2 gunshot wounds found on his back and neck. At first, Rebecca appeared devastated that her husband was dead. She continued to cry while talking with the police and while talking with her neighbors, but then something strange happened when the media arrived. Rebecca's tears suddenly vanished, and she was seen laughing as if nothing had ever happened. While the police continued investigating her husband's death, Rebecca was brought in for questioning.
I just want to get some just general information from you.
Do you
and
have
we'll
any
talk about.
answers? Have you found anything else?
Not yet. No, I haven't. I don't have any information. The other officers are out on the scene doing what they have to do. Okay.
The lady said that it was going to take some time.
Yes, it will. It usually forensics comes out there. They do the processing, and
it really doesn't matter if he's gone.
So, but the more evidence, obviously, we can get, processing the scene, the better it will be, and the quicker it will be to capture who's done this.
Good.
Okay. Okay.
Do we have an idea? Anything? The neighbors? Did anybody?
The other officers are out there talking to the neighbors. They're doing canvassing, but they haven't gotten back to me yet. So there's more going on at the scene.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Something.
No.
Something.
Right. Well, once we're done talking, then I can report back to the scene, and then they can probably give me some more updated information.
But they told me that he's definitely gone, that he can't be brought back to life or nothing.
I know.
What do you need to know?
Okay. As far as work goes, are you currently working?
I do a little bit of modeling for Bright House, but I wouldn't consider it work.
Okay.
I do a lot of charity work. I'm going to break my anonymity. I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been sober 3 years.
Okay.
And I do a lot of work with PAR and rehab, so
okay.
I don't work, but...
Okay. Do you have an agent?
Big flag for
an angel?
No, an agent for your modeling career.
A friend.
Okay. So it's like private. You're not with an agency. Okay.
When this incident happened, we have an in-law apartment in the back that we turned into a gym. I was in the gym, in our gym, when this happened.
Okay. Tell me about today, when you guys first got up. Anything unusual or strange happen in the morning? First of all, what time did you guys get up?
I had to get up a little bit earlier than usual because I was taking a girl that I have to tell you, I'm in the program. I hate to break my anonymity, but it has a lot to do with my life. And one of the girls that I sponsor is in the PAR program. I had to pick her up to take her to a morning meeting that started at 9:45.
Okay.
And that meeting is probably 200 people saw us there.
Okay.
Larry had told me before his trip that he didn't want to do anything. He was going to go to the gym, come home, do a little bit of work on his laptop, and then he was going to watch golf. Something about Tiger Woods playing in Dubai, and then, of course, try to take a nap. Because this poor guy went to bed early, and he wanted to stay awake for the Super Bowl.
Right. Okay.
And that's where he was left when this happened.
Okay.
Where was Larry when I walked in the door? He was in the living room.
Okay.
And he was already watching TV.
Remember what he was watching?
Yeah, I joked with him.
Okay.
I said, the only thing that woods are good for is hunting and hiking. It's a joke that we have about Tiger Woods.
Okay, but he was watching golf at that point.
He had his feet up on the coffee table. He does it every step.
Okay.
Yeah, she's doing too much. Washu said murder weapon has to be hidden nearby. Did the detectives match her alibi and how her claims of the gym match? Not yet. They're just getting her statement now. Heather says oversharing is a red flag. I agree, Heather. It totally is, because she's given detail by detail. She's even given them information before they even ask her a question. And in a lot of cases is people do that to make people believe that they're being very forthcoming about all that happened, to clear themselves or to give a solid alibi. But sometimes it can be used as a way where you're doing all that because you're trying to direct them to something else, right? You're trying to direct them into a different route to investigate because they felt that they got so much information from you that the detectives can stop looking at you and they can start going to everybody else, right? So, yeah, but I think one of the biggest things that was red flag to me when she said, "Oh, well, he's dead, so it doesn't matter." Like, this is your husband. This is your husband for years. You were just in the house with him. Apparently, you went to go do gym flow. You knew that he was waiting for the Super Bowl and stuff like that. And you're not really acting that concerned or acting like you're really, distraught, really, as a wife to a loving husband in a loving marriage. And then one of the red flags that I saw is when the detectives got on scene, she was acting all distraught and crying. But when the news reporters started coming up and posting up to get asked her questions and stuff, the tears or the fake tears just dried up immediately. So let's go on more with this.
Said that he wanted to take a nap so that he could try to stay up for the Super Bowl. I did come in at one point, just kind of check on him. I was like, how's it going? Joked with him. Who plays golf in Dubai? Where is that place? And he was like, yeah, but I bet you know all about Mary Kay. And we just joked.
Right.
And it was just a checking on him, I was sitting on the ball when I heard a noise.
Okay.
But it didn't sound like a pop. It sounded like somebody dropped something.
Okay.
And I also had music on real loud. So I continued to keep working out, and then all of a sudden I was like, and I wasn't concerned. I just was.
You heard something that sounded like you said it dropped.
Something dropped.
Now,
something fell off the roof.
Was it one noise? Was it several noises?
No, it was one.
Okay.
It was it sounded like something fell off the roof.
Okay.
And I kept on doing my sit-ups. And then I realized, I was like, let me go.
Okay, I don't believe her because gunshots is a specific type of sound, and the most fireworks is very similar to how gunshots sound. So now that I see that she was working out in her home, right, and doing her sit-ups and stuff like that. She's saying that she heard something drop, like a drop on the floor, like a weight or something like that. That doesn't sound like a gunshot. But she said that she wasn't concerned enough, so she just kept on doing her exercise. But she said it was, but then she says, "Oh, it sounded like it was something coming from the roof." I don't know. Like, to me, I would be wary with that because, you know, gunshots have a distinct type of sound that comes to it. And even then, if something dropped or fell or something like that, normally people will be like, "Hey babe, you're okay?" You know what I'm saying? Everything all right? Or you go check. If you're in the house by yourself, you just go check where something dropped at. You know, you don't want it to be your precious china or a plate or something like that. You would go check. But the simple fact that she was adamant not to go check, she was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna just keep on doing my exercise," but it was that much of a loud noise. It raised flags for me personally. Hi Lilia, how you doing? Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. Let's go on.
Go check on him, but it wasn't because of the noise. I just periodically we just check on each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay. From the gym, what route did you take?
Walked into the back door.
Okay.
My husband was laying in the foyer.
Okay.
There was blood everywhere. He was laying face down.
Okay.
Is the back door open or shut?
Do you mean open, not locked?
Open, standing open?
No, it was shut, but it was not locked.
Is the front door locked?
The front door was not locked unless he got it to lock it, which I doubt because I walked out the front door to go out to my car and grab some where and when and some pamphlets on some sponsorship for AA earlier. And Larry wouldn't get up and lock the front door. He'll do all that at night.
Do you guys normally leave your doors open, unlocked?
Not the front door, no.
Okay.
The front door is set up so that when you, I feel like I can't think. I feel like my mind's not inside of my head.
That's okay.
I haven't wrapped
Right. Well,
my mind around the fact that
it's a huge shock.
Rebecca claims that while she was exercising behind their home in a makeshift gym, she heard a loud bang. At first, she ignored the sound, which the detectives found very strange, but eventually she would go check on her husband using the back door to their home. Larry's body was positioned in a way that it appeared he had been trying to run out the front door when he was shot from behind. Larry's watch and wallet were missing, and it appeared as if someone had run around the house pulling out random drawers trying to make it look like a burglary. The problem was that usually a thief will run away when they encounter a homeowner. Larry had been shot in the back, which means he had been running away from the thief, so there should have been no reason a thief would need to murder the homeowner.
As far as firearms in the house, guns, firearms, guns.
we did own a gun.
Okay.
We bought one very, very recently.
You just have one gun?
Sometimes that's the problem with these people who be trying to, get away with murder, especially something that they premeditated, is that they do the most trying to make it seem like it's a robbery or some break and entry. But you just told the detectives that y'all don't lock doors. Y'all don't lock your front door. Y'all don't lock your side door. So to me, it gives me the understanding that you live in a very tight-knit type of community where you don't necessarily feel like you're in danger, where someone is going to come in your house and take things often. If you don't lock your door, that's not something normally that y'all do, right? Then the second thing, like I said, the whole shooting thing, hearing gunshots, but then you thought it was like something like a weight or something dropping on the floor, and then you went to continue to do your exercise. You didn't think nothing of it. I think that's very weird. Then the ransacking of the house. You just went around and just threw a whole bunch of clothes all over the floor. No TVs missing, no cell phones missing, no wallet is missing, no watches is missing, no wedding rings is missing. None of this is missing. Things that, robbers would actually try to go in and do. And then we have to take into consideration the time of day this happened. This happened during the day. Right? You was doing this during the day. It wasn't even the evening yet. So again, if it was a robber, wouldn't someone have seen someone leaving out your house? He got shot in the garage with the garage door open. You telling me nobody's seen a robber run outside of your garage? Yeah, I don't think so. Let's see. Hey, Lil Wayne, what's going on? He said, watched the wild one last night of Casey and her boyfriend killed from grandparents. Oh my God. Crazy how they put them in a room and stayed in the house. Oh my goodness. I have to see the link to that one, sir. Shout out to you. He said, yeah, that's what I'm saying. She lives in a HOA, like, an area that has a HOA. They probably have their own security guards for this community of houses, gated house communities. So that's why you feel comfortable not to have your door, locked, and bolted. Let's go on.
Gun in the house?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a handgun? Is it shotgun or rifle?
It's something that, it's a handgun.
A handgun.
I don't know a lot about it, but we bought it recently and it's registered, so I can't tell you the exact date.
Is it registered to you or your husband?
Don't quote me. I think Larry told me that it was legal for both of us to use, but only if we used it in the house.
Okay.
Like I couldn't put it in my car or tote it around in my purse.
Right.
And again, don't quote me. I think Larry told me that it was legal for him and for I, but that it had to be used inside of our house.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kept in our bedroom.
Did you ever fire it?
No.
You ever handle it?
No. Larry and I talked about going to the firing range, and I was kind of leery about it. We just never did it, and then we never saw the whack job again. So it was like, well, it's there if we need it, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
And we never saw the guy again, never had a problem.
Just real quick off of that, when I stepped out, I got a call from some people at the scene, and I guess there's a cell phone there. Whose cell phone would that be? Open cell phone on the ground, do you know?
It wouldn't be mine. Mine's on me.
Yours is on you? Does your husband have a cell phone?
Yes, he does. And when you open it up, there's a picture of me.
Okay.
So you picked up the gun before, but just by like
he brought it home and he showed it to me, and I was just kind of like, I was like, we haven't seen this guy in a while. And he was like, I'm going to take you down the gun range. I'm going to show you how to shoot it so you're perfectly comfortable with it. We don't see the nut ball again, then fine. When I'm out of town, if you ever need it, he said, but I will tell you this, it's only legal to use in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go toting it around.
Right.
He joked with me, he says, you can't get PMS and think that you want it. And I was like, I understand.
Right.
And he was like, this is where it's going to be kept.
Where did you guys keep it in the house?
So put a 1 in the chat if everybody do anybody else feel that it's quite discerning that she's bringing up the weapon supposedly that her husband had, and that she's saying that they're both can use it. There is registered, but they're both can use it, but it only can be used in the house. And she's making it very adamant to say that she has the right to use that weapon. Don't put a 1 in the chat if that's kind of concerning for you, right? Because I believe that the reason why she's doing that, because later on when they catch her in her lies, she's going to say that it was self-defense, and she's going to use the simple fact that since she was also able to use that gun, that, that they can't get her on a gun charge per se. I think that that's why she's doing it, right? Because she's very adamant to let them know, oh yeah, he showed me the gun. He said he was going to go take me training to learn about it. And we're registered. We're both can use the gun. The both of the guns are registered. Do you have a license, man? Do you have a gun license? She didn't say that she has a gun license, but she said that it's registered, and she said that she's also can use the gun, but it could only be within the house. I really, really do believe that that's the reason why she's saying it. She's saying it because if it gets too bad and she doesn't get away with her lies, she's now going to say that she had to defend herself against her husband. And she doesn't want a gun charge added to that. That's my thinking. What do you guys think? Oh, come on, don't say that, Greg. Don't say that. That's not all. That's not all. And there's a lot of women in so many other races that you can't trust either, right? But shout out to you. Barry said 1. Okay, cool. Very alarming, right? Michelle said it's weird for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very weird because you should be worrying about what's going on, like, giving the information about how you saw your husband in that state, not about this whole story about how y'all got the gun, where you got the gun from, whose is the gun registered on, who can use it, and it specifically has to be used within the house. I just think that that's weird. Heather said 1. Okay, good. Let's see. Dennis said, I think this was 20. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It is 2008. Dennis, you're correct. Wasu said, this woman gave detectives this info willingly as asking. Yeah, exactly. Right? And see, I didn't grow up with guns, but my husband did. And we had that talk. It's his gun. And he's told me I can use it if someone tries to break in. Right. And I understand that, Hazel, but here's the thing. She's trying to make the detectives believe that somebody broke in, but not once did she ever go to get the gun, right? So I can understand giving this information if she actually went to go get the gun was found in her hand at the scene of the crime, and she wanted to explain why she has a gun in her hand and who it belongs to, but that's not the case. She was in the back and this makeshift gym working out, and then she heard loud noises coming from the garage. So to give this information, there's no reason to give this information. That's just me. That's just me. Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy. But let's go on, guys. Let's go on. Let's see what else she has to say.
We kept it in our armoire, in our bedroom, in the third drawer, on the left side.
Okay, was it in a gun case?
It was like a canvas.
Did it come with the gun? In other words, or was it just a canvas case that you guys...
No, I think that it came with the gun.
While the police were investigating the crime scene, they noticed that Larry's vehicle was not parked in the driveway. What's interesting is that the police would find the vehicle less than a block away, parked on the side of the road. Inside, they would find all the items, including cash, that had been stolen from Larry's home. Why would a thief kill a homeowner that wasn't a threat, steal any valuables they could find, take a vehicle that's in the driveway, only to leave everything inside less than 2 blocks away?
All right. How many cars do you have?
We have 2 vehicles. It took me
That's messy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but she is so messy for that. I'm sorry. Lady, like, it looks so staged now. They found the vehicle 2 houses down, parked up and not in the garage. You have your whole penny, your piggy bank with change and stuff, dollars and stuff, all that. If the robber was actually robbing someone and they wanted to rob the vehicle as well as all that stuff, why is that all neatly put in the car that's only 2 houses away from your house? Like, no robber in history, no real thief in history will ever do that. Would ever do that. So it's just like, oh, she put the stuff in there to make it seem more that the house was robbed. That's why she put that stuff in there. I can't believe that's just being messy, ma'am. That's being messy. That you get a D. You get a D for effort for that one. That's just being truly, truly messy. Oh my goodness. Let's go on.
Probably 15, 20 minutes after everybody arrived, I was talking to a police officer, and it dawned on me that my husband's vehicle was missing. And I turned to him, I go, where the hell is my husband's Jeep?
Where's the keep the keys for the Jeep?
There's a old antique desk in our dining room.
Is that on the first floor or the second floor?
It's on the first floor.
It's in an antique desk in the dining room.
Yeah, he keeps that. He keeps his wallet.
He keeps all that in there?
When he comes in.
Okay, so he wouldn't sit around the house with his keys in his pocket?
No.
Hi, Bradley.
Exactly.
No, not necessarily.
How many people know where you keep your keys?
Good to see you.
Me and my husband.
Nobody else?
No. Nobody's been in our house, even good friends. It's kind of been a choice of ours, but also we just
Does he leave any keys in the car?
never.
Is there a spare key in the car, a hide a key or something?
I don't know if my husband has a hide-a key or a spare key to his Jeep. I know that there's 2 sets of keys to my car.
And where are your sets?
I have a set on me. I have a set on me.
Okay.
And I have an extra set that's also in that antique desk. Larry had, I think I had 2 sets when we purchased the car. The 2005.
Did you have those keys on you today, or did you take them when you left?
I took them when I came in. I grabbed my keys. After I realized what had happened, I grabbed my keys off of. They were on the kitchen counter, and I grabbed them off the kitchen counter. When I realized that my house had been ransacked, I ran upstairs. When I saw how bad it was, my first thought was, I better get out of here.
Where was your house ransacked at?
Where?
The whole house, or any particular?
The living room. I noticed that the living room was, my bedroom was, our bedroom was, but especially my husband's office. And I went to reach on the floor for the phone because that's where all of our numbers are. And I was like, let me get out of here. So I went out.
What floor did you go to?
The 2nd floor.
Okay, so you came in, you saw
my
him.
husband. I felt her pulse.
And then you went upstairs?
Yes, I did.
What'd you go upstairs for?
Because when I turned the corner and saw the living room had been ransacked, I went upstairs to see what the hell had happened.
She really just played herself right then and there. Right then and there was like in the coffin. You said that you seen your husband. So you see your husband got shot in the back of his back 2 times. And the first thing that you do is go in the house to see that the house is ramshacked. Why are you not on the phone calling 911? Why are you not trying to perform CPR? I don't know. Why aren't you not trying to stop the bleeding, or get a pulse to see if he's still breathing? You did none of that to your loving husband who is literally dying before you. You see him and go, oh my God, I'm going to go run all the way up the stairs and see if anybody's in the house. And I'm going to go grab the extra keys of his car, even though the car is not in the garage. And my head hurt. I'm just saying my head hurt. It's really, really bad. Like, I don't know nobody who's sitting up there and say, okay, if my husband or my loved one gets shot, the first thing I'm going to do is try to give aid to that person, right? And get on the phone with 911 while I'm still trying to give aid to them. And on top of that, if I think that is a danger or someone's in my house, you don't go to the danger, especially if you don't have no weapon. What are you going to go up there and do? Like, it does not make sense, lady. It really doesn't. And this is where you killed yourself right then and there, because your husband is laying on the ground with bullet holes in the back, in his back, and you didn't stop to call 911. You ran upstairs. That just got on my nerve. That really annoys me. Let's go on.
Okay.
And I yelled. I said, I'm loaded. I have the police following me. So if you're in my house, you better come out now.
Okay. Then when did you call 911?
I saw that the house had been ransacked. I ran back down. I checked my husband again for a pulse.
Did he have a pulse the first time?
I couldn't tell.
What about the second time?
I didn't feel one, but I didn't know if I was feeling in the right place.
Okay. Now,
I got out of the house. I went to my car, which was in the driveway. I opened up the door, and I called you guys.
They find it very strange that after Rebecca finds her husband's body and she checks his pulse, she runs around the house unarmed to see what happened. After looking through every room in the house, she then checks her husband's pulse a second time, then goes outside to call the police. Rebecca says that the first pulse check did not confirm Larry was dead. So why didn't she immediately dial 911 and ask for an ambulance? Also, why did she stay in a house that potentially had a murderer inside?
Exactly.
And then I got out of my car and I was
she
hysterical,
annoying me.
and I just started pacing the driveway.
She's ignoring me. Oh, I'm getting so annoyed by her. Little Wayne said, no woman without a gun in training would do that. Most women wouldn't, right? But if you are a woman with a gun who carry a gun, like myself, and who have training, yeah, I'm gonna go in there. But the first thing is, you're supposed to use it as self-defense, right? If someone is coming at you, not going to the problem. That's not what that's for, right? Because if, let's say, for example, a robber is in your house. So the robber's in your house, you don't want him to steal your possession and stuff. But if you go chasing this person with a gun, now you done brought a gun to a knife fight. Now you become the aggressor. So if you unalive this person, it's not going to be looked at as self-defense at this point, because they were just taking property. They wasn't threatening your life. So you got to take that into consideration. But the thing that she's doing, you didn't care at all that your husband was on the ground with bullet holes in his back. You barely even checked for, I don't even believe her saying that she checked for a pulse the first time. There's no way. You literally ran too much. You ran upstairs immediately to go upstairs to see if any of your stuff was stolen first. You didn't check to see if your husband had a pulse. You knew he didn't have a pulse, or you didn't care that he had a pulse. And then lying to say that you came back and took it a second time, but you don't know how to take you don't know how to read a pulse. Girl, bye. Hey, Freezy, how you doing? I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for sharing the stream. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Like, oh my God, this is just getting on my nerve. Yeah, she walked through every room instead of helping him, not knowing if he was. Thank you. Exactly, Hazel. That doesn't make no sense. That doesn't even sound like a caring, loving person would do. Most people be sitting up there so distraught seeing their loved one in that state, even if they don't even know how to patch up a wound or to stop it from bleeding, or to check and say, hey, are you awake, or anything like that. They would try their best. They would literally call 911 to help them, instruct them. Listen, I see them bleeding out their ear and they're not responsive. What can I do? What can I do? They'll ask 911 to help them before EMT and EMS gets there. She didn't do none of that. She was more worried about what's in the house. I'm going to go to the danger. I don't got no gun. I'm in my gym clothes, but I'm going to run upstairs and I'm going to tell whoever's in my house who most likely has a weapon, hey, get out of my house. You shot my husband, you bastard. Get out of my house, or I'm going to call 911. Terrible. Just terrible. Dennis said, exactly. I had my ear on that chest circling for a heartbeat. Yeah, exactly. Hi, Michael. How you doing? Unfortunately, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I don't have a wig. These are locks and these are mine. Grows out my hair. Sorry about that. But good to see you, though. Let's see. Ian, your Felix Akata. Hi. How you doing, sir? Good to see you. Eat said, are you? Yes, I am black. Don't I look black? Good to see you, sir. Angry Black Woman Podcast said, hashtag not our fight. Sis coming in, not our fight. I hear you. Let's see. Little Wayne says, please know that the chat, it could be you out there life. Yeah, she just did the most, man. And she was very messy with it. It's terrible. Let's hear some more what she has to say in this interrogation. She's trying now to try to clean things up, but it doesn't look right. It's not going the way that she thought it was going to play out.
I was like, somebody's got to get here now. If he's still alive, maybe you can help him. Trying to remember what else I said.
What did they tell you on the phone?
Hey, they come and they go.
Try to calm down. What is your name? Help is on the way. Was he shot or was he stabbed? I told him that I didn't know. I couldn't tell. I don't know if I was screaming. I just kept saying.
When you checked him, you just checked his pulse.
His eyes were open. I checked here.
Was he face up or face down?
Thank you for stopping by.
Face down.
Blood all around him.
How was his head? Was his head down or to the
His
side?
head was to the side, and his eyes were open, and that's what made me think that maybe he was alive, and if I could get an ambulance out there fast enough, maybe we could save his life.
Okay.
Ma'am, you was not thinking about saving his life, and you wasn't thinking about getting an ambulance out there quick enough. You literally saw him on the ground. You did not call 911. You did not provide CPR. You did not do anything. You did not try to find out where the wound was or where was the blood coming from so you could actually, bandage it up or stop the bleeding. You didn't do any of that. You saw that he was on the ground, non-responsive, with blood around. You ran upstairs to go check to see if your house was ransacked. That takes about what? I don't know, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You literally, the time that you could have called 911 to try to get him some assistance to see if whether or not if he was breathing at least, right? Because we know he's not responding, but if he's breathing, like a little hint of breath or something, you didn't do that. You took that time away from him. You literally waited till you came back down and say, oh yeah, I'm going to check him again. Now let me call 911. I just can't stand this lady. Right, exactly, Michelle. All that talking about saving his life, but didn't do anything to legitimately help him. Absolutely not one thing. She's just given all of the pleasantries of her being a quote unquote concerned wife and oh my God, that happened to my husband. But your action shows that you was trying to make sure that he was not going to get help. You was trying to make sure that he wasn't going to get up from this. Let's go on.
So you checked his pulse?
I checked his neck. When I came back down the stairs, I checked his arm. And then I thought it was a good idea if I got out of the house to just call the police.
Okay. You didn't try CPR, didn't try to revive him?
No, I didn't. I didn't think it was a good idea to touch anything. What
did you think happened?
I wanted to know if my husband was still alive.
Okay. Let me just make sure I understand you right. You came in the back door, your husband's laying there.
Yes.
You went to him first.
Yes.
Okay.
Scream.
She said that she didn't touch him. She said that it would have been right to touch him. Oh. So you had no intentions of saving his life. I mean, like, ma'am, the only thing that you should be touching in your house is if you have an injured party in the house. That's the only person. You wasn't supposed to go up and touch nothing in the house if it's a robbery, right? Because you would want them to get fingerprints, or if they had blood on them or something like that, some form of DNA. You wouldn't want to touch anything in the house if they touch something. But you should want to touch, I don't know, your husband who's lying with bullet holes in him. I would think that you would want to touch him if you want him to survive. But then, no, I didn't want to touch him. You know, she get on my nerves. She getting on my nerve. Right, exactly, Hazel. She said that he was face down. How did she know his eyes was open if she only checked his pulse? Exactly. That's why they keep on going over exactly her steps of when she's seen her husband, because she keeps on changing it every single time they ask her again. Let's go on.
Okay.
Throughout this interrogation, Rebecca constantly reminds the detectives that she was screaming and crying when nobody was around. She says this to make sure they all know that she is the victim.
Where's the nearest phone to your husband at that time?
The nearest phone to my husband would have been in the living room, but our living room phone, the buttons haven't been working recently.
Okay.
So my cell phone is sitting in my car. I would have had to have gone upstairs and either used his business line or used the landline that's upstairs. When I went upstairs, it wasn't to use the phone. It was to see what the hell had happened and if anybody else was still in my house. When I saw my husband's office and I saw my room had been ransacked, I ran back down the stairs. I checked Larry again.
Okay. Was anything ransacked on the first floor?
Yes, the living room. The living room was ransacked. The drawers had been pulled out. All of my self-help books had been pulled out. This just happened. I'm having a hard time remembering.
They just caught her again. They just caught her again. So they asked her what was ransacked. She knows exactly the places that was ransacked. She said the living room. She said they pulled out her drawers with all her health fitness books and stuff like that. She knows detail of what was pulled out. But again, you're saying that you're doing all this hysterically. You said that you was trying to save your husband's life and you called 911 immediately, but you ran in the house all the way upstairs and downstairs to see what was missing, to see things that was unshowered and all the stuff like that. But you didn't want to touch your husband when you came back to quote unquote say to check whether or not if he was breathing. She's given too much details about what drawer was pulled out, what was taken out those drawers, and it's not looking good for her at all.
Right. I'll do the best I can. And I think it was a good idea to move them.
Okay.
I just remember telling the lady, hurry if we get an ambulance to him. Maybe he's not
Let me just
dead.
ask you, why didn't you think it was a good idea to move him?
I just think that, well, I couldn't fathom the fact of what had happened. I couldn't.
What did you think happened?
There's something very wrong. He couldn't be dead. And if I could get an ambulance there fast enough, maybe they could help. I didn't think it was a good idea to touch him. I can remember being leery just to get a pulse. I guess I just watched too much TV, and it's like, don't touch, don't.
I can't believe that she just tried to use that. I watch so much TV and they say don't touch. Ma'am, obviously you haven't watched enough TV, even though they're not even accurate when they say stuff like that. The reason is let's say, for example, if someone is down on the ground and they have a puncture wound, right? Like something went through their chest or through their heart, right? You don't want to remove that, right? And have them bleed out to death. You want to wrap it around and stop the bleeding, but keep the object still so it won't rip whatever inside anymore, right? And then there's certain things where if someone has a concussion, let's say they fell from a building or 3 floors or 4 floors down. Well, you don't know whether or not if their head is cracked, right? Or if their spinal cord is cracked. You don't know that. So they don't want you to move them if they might have a concussion or they might have their head is their skull is cracked, right? But that doesn't mean that you don't check to see if they're not breathing or if they're responsive in other ways. And I don't know, this might be my EMT coming out, but it's just weird that she referenced saying, oh, I watch shows and they told you not to move them. Like, it's driving me insane. It really is. I'm sorry. It's driving me insane. Let's go.
What kind of TV would tell you that?
Just, I don't know. CSI, I guess. Don't touch anything. Stay, the minute you find out something's wrong, get outside, call the police. I just wanted to get an ambulance there because I wasn't sure whether he had a pulse or not. I didn't know if I was checking even right. And if I got an ambulance there fast enough, maybe they could get it back.
I agree, Dennis.
Rebecca keeps saying that her main goal was to get an ambulance to her location as quickly as possible. If that's the case, then why take her time walking through both floors of her home, walk past 2 landline phones, and then go outside to make the 911 call.
And he had no enemies, correct?
No.
You don't have any enemies?
No.
Is there anything of value in the house?
Jewelry. We don't have any money in the house.
But nobody's been in the house to know that's there, correct?
No.
Okay. Any marital problems?
None at all.
He has a couple of ex-wives, is that
Yes, he
correct?
does, and we've never had any problems from either one of them. One of them lives right down the road. We're not friends with them, but they don't give us any problems, and I've never physically seen either one of them.
Rebecca's neighbors would tell the police that over the past year, Rebecca had lost quite a bit of weight. The detective is curious why her appearance had drastically changed, so he confronts her with this information.
And the reason I ask is, from canvassing the neighborhood, some people say that your appearance has changed slightly in the past year. You're a lot thinner in the face, and
Well, I quit drinking 3 years ago, so maybe it's from the bloating. But I've always weighed 122 pounds, and I fluctuate between 120.
but you were bloated before. Is that
Bloated in the face from drinking alcohol, yeah.
okay? No drug use.
Marijuana.
How often do you use marijuana?
I used marijuana.
Okay.
My sobriety date is 2/17 of 2005. I am clean and sober.
You're an alcoholic, and you use
And I
marijuana.
use marijuana. Drugs are not a part of my story besides that at all.
Okay.
My husband did not drink. That's not true. Once in a while, he'd be out on a trip or something, and he would have a beer. But my husband couldn't tolerate. He couldn't drink. He couldn't tolerate it.
The detective asks Rebecca to go through her day again so they can compare her story with the first time she told it. They ask Rebecca about any phone call she made, and that's when she tells them she made a phone call using her cell phone while she was working out in her gym. The inconsistency here is that previously, Rebecca claimed she had to go to her car to get her cell phone so she could call 911, but now she is saying that she had her cell phone on her while she was working out. Unfortunately, the detectives don't pick up on this piece of information.
Did you get any phone calls during that time period you were home, or make any phone calls?
Did I make any phone calls? No. I did get a phone call from a girl that I sponsor, and I told, as a matter of fact, I was in the gym when I got the call.
Is there a phone in the gym, or she called your cell phone?
She called my cell phone.
Okay.
And I said to Gail, I said, is this important? Do you think you're going to drink? Are you having any problems? What are your thoughts and feelings? She goes, no, I'm just checking in with you.
Okay.
And I said, listen, I'm working out right now. And
That's
she
the
goes,
same girl you were with earlier?
no, this is a different one.
So it was just a quick conversation while you were in the gym?
Yeah, it was like, you're going to drink? If you're not going to drink, and, you're not flipping off the walls and flipping in or whatever, and everything's okay, I do care, but let me finish my workout and I'll give you a call.
Right, okay. Were there any other phone calls today that came or went from
After I
you?
came home? Not on my cell phone.
The other issue they have is the crime scene itself. The intruder would have entered through the front door, which means Larry would have seen and heard the intruder from the living room couch. How did the intruder get behind Larry to shoot him if the intruder would have been between Larry and the front door? Also, why would the intruder stay around to ransack the house, which would have taken at least 5 minutes? And why did the intruder decide to steal from this house in the middle of the day with 2 parked cars in the driveway?
Oh, and not to mention, why would the shooter do all that, steal from the house and take the car, but then park the car 2 houses down in the middle of the day and did not take any of the money that they ransacked the house for? It does not make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And the reason why her husband got shot in the back is because he wasn't expecting it. He wasn't expecting it because he didn't see anybody that he did not know, coming from behind him or trying to, run in his face with a gun. It wasn't no struggle. You don't see the house looking like it was a struggle where he was fighting anyone. And then here you are, you're right around the house too. So you're saying that you hear this large thump, but you didn't even go back there to go see if he was okay. But then you told them earlier that y'all check on each other all the time in the house. But so why that day when you're working out and you hear a thump that doesn't seem regular, like something falling on the ground, like a glass or something, you didn't go and check on your husband? This lady has she has excuses beyond excuses beyond excuses, and I'm glad that the detectives keep on asking her to go through the whole thing from the beginning all the way to the end, because she keeps on trying to change it up a little bit. And she thinks by adding in more information about, I had a text message with my girlfriend and I told her I was in the gym working out and I call her back. She thinks by adding these little things that don't have nothing to do with what they're really asking you about is pretty much helping her case, but all it is really just damaging her case or for herself. But keep in mind, like I said, I do believe that eventually she's going to say that it was a self-defense situation. She was having an argument with her husband and he threatened to kill her. He tried to choke her out, and that's why she had to quote unquote use this weapon. Let's go on. I hope I'm wrong, but still.
Somebody came in, he would have been downstairs.
He was downstairs, and if somebody would have walked in, they wouldn't have immediately saw him. They would have had to gone in a little bit and seen him at the end of the couch. They wouldn't have walked in the front door.
Could somebody have walked in and walked upstairs without seeing him?
Could somebody have walked in and walked upstairs and not seen him? Absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah, because our staircase is right there. They could have walked right into the front door, but he would have heard them.
He would have heard them gone
absolutely.
upstairs. So the person that ransacked the place probably killed him first, you think?
Silence.
Sorry.
That awkward silence is like, he got you.
To smithereens without Larry knowing it, and the way that he was laying, he must have heard somebody come in the door, because it looks where he was laying like, not maybe there's a confrontation, but he came into the foyer. There's no reason for him to come in the foyer unless he was crossing over the kitchen and getting beneath you.
I'm just trying to understand this. What type of person shoot somebody, make that noise, and then take time to ransack a house?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I have no idea what happened. And I didn't hear.
And you didn't hear the car leave?
No.
Where was his car at in reference to where you were?
My car's parked here, and he's parked here.
In the dirt?
Yeah, he gets to park in the dirt, I get the driveway. Sometimes he'll bring it around.
They really tore the house up? They really tore your house up?
I didn't look that well.
Knocked things over, knocked over big items, tipped things over?
Yeah, it looked like the living room, the stereo system had been knocked over. I can remember that. Drawers pulled out.
But nothing was taken? The stereo was still there? The TV was still there?
From my antique store. We've got 3 pieces. They could be somebody's retirement, for God's sakes.
And that was still there?
There were paintings in there that are worth $17,000 to $25,000. This person didn't know they were antiques. They didn't know they're paintings. Timbers are right above our
What were they looking for then?
You're asking me questions I can't answer. I don't know. We don't have money in our house. My expensive.
Do you have a safe in the house?
No, we don't. And my expensive jewelry is kept in a sewing box that it's an old-fashioned antique sewing box, and unless you know that the middle opens sort of like a Chinese puzzle box.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been in that house?
Let me think for a second. I think 4 years, but I can't think straight. And
did he or you ever sell drugs out of that house?
No.
No?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm having a good time with this interrogation because she's doing the most, right? And she really trying to seem like she's innocent, but they know that she's not innocent. My only thing is, I want to know what was her motive behind it, right? Like, because they really haven't established the motive yet, right? We definitely see the opportunity, right? We definitely see she had the intent to unalive him, but I don't see the motive. Why did she do it? I haven't heard of anything like that. I think they was alluding to it when they went to go ask the neighbors about her appearance, how she had lost a lot of weight, got into shape and stuff like that. And I think they was alluding to maybe she might have a partner, a new partner, a new lover, and she's feeling good about herself, and she wanted to find a way to get out of this marriage with everything. And that's the reason why. That's what I think that they were alluding to about her drastic weight loss appearance, but we'll see. I just really want to know what her motive is now, because I don't understand why she did this if you're apparently your relationship or your marriage was great, not perfect, but great. And to go to this much extent to take out your husband is just really weird to me. But let's go on.
Absolutely not.
So somebody wouldn't be looking for illegal drugs?
No. I am clean and sober.
Just trying to figure out why somebody would spend that much time in your house.
I don't know. I'm not sure what happened.
Do you have any questions of me?
I'm just trying to get my mind wrapped around the fact that he's gone, and I just want to know.
Hey, Ron, how you doing,
but at this point, I'm just feeling like it really doesn't matter who did it because he's gone. So I want to know when I'm going to be allowed to go back into my home and see if anything is missing. Do you have any answers? Anything? Has anything come through?
Not
the
yet.
neighbors?
Takes a long time to get in the house and process. It could take all night.
That's what the woman said.
They're very meticulous.
Good. It's good.
Thank you so much,
And
Tracy. I
if the
appreciate
suspect was all over the house,
Thank you.
they're gonna have to
We
process.
left something behind, right? Do you think it was one person? Are we looking at more than one person?
I don't know, because I haven't been into the scene. I don't know. I haven't been into your home.
The detectives have their suspicions, but they don't have any evidence to arrest Rebecca. At least, not yet. Before they let her go, they ask her if they can run some tests, more specifically, gunpowder residue tests on her hands.
All right. The only other thing that we're going to do is just do forensics, do some processing. They're just going to take photographs of you. Okay, they're just going to test your hands and collect some clothing. Okay, we have clothes here. We'll give you t-shirt and shorts. Okay, and then that's it. Okay.
We're gonna put you in your room, but we're gonna ask that you don't wash your hands. Okay?
Right, I understand.
Because you understand we have to rule you out because you were there, right?
The woman explained to me because I signed something and it said something about accused, and then it was she had to come in the bathroom with me, so I didn't wash my hands. So all of a sudden, I said, "Am I a suspect?" And she very calmly explained that this is a procedure and this is how it goes and this is why it goes like this. And
see, we want to do this because we don't want somebody to say 3 months from now after we did nothing with you that you did it. You see what we're saying?
I don't understand what you're saying. No.
That's the purpose of us doing this, to eliminate you since you're at the house.
Okay.
So if somewhere down the line somebody says 3 months, somebody down the line accuses you for whatever reason, we can say, well, we did this, this, and this, and...
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You haven't shot a gun recently, have you?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Not you turning into a corner boy, little
The
boy.
tests they did would come back negative for gunpowder. While the tests were being done, the detectives had a chance to talk with each other. They still couldn't understand why Rebecca did what she did after finding her husband's body.
Just try to get your line of thinking here. We were thinking about this, and both of us are married, And we thought, well, if this happened to us, we don't think we would have left our spouse's side during that time. I mean, especially if we thought there was some hope that they were alive.
I got scared. I thought the best thing for me to do was to get out of the house.
What were you scared of at that time?
Her husband, Raja.
What had happened? Call the police, get people there as soon as possible.
But what I don't understand, though, is why you take the time to go upstairs. The danger upstairs, the unknown upstairs. Why would you put yourself in that situation?
I wondered if somebody was still in my house.
What were you going to do if you ran across somebody?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably get killed.
Wow.
Still, what about, wouldn't your main concern be, what if he's still alive, maybe I can help him?
Of course I wanted to help him.
But you left.
I walked outside and called the police. I left the scene. I walked outside and called the police.
And left your husband.
And asked them to get an ambulance there as quick as possible. Because I wasn't for sure that he was dead. I didn't know if he'd been shot or if he'd been stabbed. And could they get an ambulance there as quick as possible?
But you didn't attempt any CPR, stay with him. I mean, why did you leave?
This is what I'm saying. Like, she keeps on saying that I try to get the ambulance there as quick as possible, but you didn't, ma'am. You saw him and you left him where you didn't know whether he was breathing or not, and you went upstairs to go check on the house. And then you come back. You didn't really even do a proper check to see whether he was breathing then, and then you call 911. You literally lost 2 to 3 minutes. I even give 4 minutes. You could have saved his life, but you didn't even try to even render any aid at all. So I'm just tired of her keep on saying this narrative that she tried to hurry up and get him help. You did not. You literally let 4 minutes, 5 minutes pass before you even called 911. It's just really sad. Like, she just keeps on lying the way that she's lying. It's really disturbing me at this point.
I thought it was a smart thing to do. Get out of the house, not get out of the house and call the police. That's what I was thinking. And horrified by what I had seen and what had happened. I wasn't sure what had happened, and it had to have happened, and I was so close by.
Rebecca makes a mistake and she tells the detectives that she saw 2 wounds on her husband's back. Paramedics didn't know how many wounds or their location until they removed Larry's shirt. So how did Rebecca know?
How would you know that there were 2 wounds, though, when all that's starting to coagulate and run together? They had to actually physically remove clothes to see how many wounds there were.
He was laying on the floor with his face like this. His eyes were open.
Right.
I saw a wound here, and I saw a wound what looked like in the middle of his back.
And what did these wounds look like?
He had either been shot or he had been stabbed.
Why do you say that? What the wounds look
Wait a
like?
minute. She said earlier that she didn't even know what happened to him. She said that she didn't know whether he was shot or stabbed or anything. All she just know that he was on the floor and seeing wounds, and now she knows whether or not if he got stabbed or it was gunshot wounds. This lady is just messing up all over around the place. She is a wrap for her. It really is a wrap for her.
They didn't look like wounds. They looked like blood. I didn't see wounds. I saw blood on his clothes.
What color was his sweater?
It was a white, grayish sweatshirt. He was wearing.
Dark or light?
It was light.
And then, all right, so then you check the house and there's nobody there, obviously, right?
Right.
So why'd you leave your husband there?
call the police. Should I have stayed with them and
There was
put them
no
in my lab?
There was no phone in the house, or
There was a phone in the house. I
We're
did
just
not.
trying to understand why you did what you did.
Did he say anything? Could you see his chest rising and falling? Could you tell
No.
if he was breathing?
No, but I thought that he might be alive because his eyes were open. And I just like bent down. I was like, Larry? Larry.
Did he make any sounds?
No.
At any point?
No. And I got up and I went outside and I called the police. If I had known that I was supposed to be with him, or hold him, or do CPR, then I would have. I think that I'm trying to think of what I was thinking.
Did the 911 operator ask you if he's breathing? What did the 911 operator? What did you tell them?
I said, I believe my house has just been burglarized, and it looks like my husband could possibly be deceased, but I can't tell. She said, where are you calling from? I gave her my last name and my address. I was hysterical, so you'll have to listen to the tape to know what I said exactly.
Reviewing the case, wife unalived her husband, Victoria.
I didn't think it was wise for me to touch him, to get blood on me, to turn him over, to do anything like that. I thought that would just either make things worse for the scene. I didn't know if anybody was still in my house the first time when I found him. I guess if you guys would have shown up and I would have had blood all over me, I guess it might have incriminated me. I did think that he might still be alive because his eyes were open.
Even though the detectives believe that something wasn't right with her story, they would be forced to end the interview and let her go. Before she leaves, Rebecca wants to know why the crime scene doesn't make any sense.
Okay. I'm just a little concerned about the last questions that have been asked because they don't make sense to me.
What do you mean the last questions have been asked?
When you're, how could somebody have known that those keys went to that Jeep?
You asked that. I didn't ask.
I know. I've got some questions. Like there's a few things here that don't make sense. Why would they take keys? How could they have known that it belonged to a Jeep? You're telling me a neighbor tells me the Jeep wasn't there.
And didn't you say you took your keys off the counter?
I took the keys off the breakfast counter.
Why wouldn't
they have taken them? They're out in the open. And take the Hyundai. The Hyundai is nothing. Hyundai's clear or better.
And she's not helping because she knows that she messed up. She knows that she gave too much information. And now she's getting offensive because the interview has concluded, right? They didn't get a confession from her. They have not found a weapon, right? This would have been a perfect time where she would have had, kept her mouth closed and got a lawyer. But because now she's mad about how they look at her, her interview, she's asking questions about why did they ask her those two last questions at the end of the interrogation. And now she's getting agitated, which is only making it worse for her. It's not helping her. It's not helping her at all.
Better car. It's closer. It's right there. So I guess I'm just a little concerned that there's some questions here that aren't making sense to me.
They're not making sense to us either.
Okay.
You're hoping maybe you could shed some light on it.
I don't know how I could.
Rebecca was released and she was told she was not allowed to go home for several days. This made Rebecca very angry and she demanded to be allowed to go home, even for just a few minutes. The police held firm and she was forced to stay with a close friend. The following day, the investigators decided to search her car that was sitting in the driveway. Under the driver's seat, they found a man's watch and the murder weapon. The gun was registered to Larry, and it was the same one Rebecca was talking about during her interview. Testing confirmed that it was indeed the weapon that was used to kill Larry, but there were no fingerprints found anywhere on the gun. The detectives decided not to confront Rebecca, at least until they had more evidence tying her to the murder. This decision would lead to the case remaining unsolved for over 5 years. During this time, Rebecca tried to get her husband's very large life insurance policy, but because there were so many unanswered questions, the insurance company refused to pay it out. Rebecca would begin to struggle with her bills, and then one day she received a notice from the bank telling her they would be foreclosing on her home. Strangely enough, not long after receiving this letter, Rebecca's home would go up in flames. Because the fire department could not figure out how the fire began, Rebecca received a very nice insurance payout. Not long after the fire broke out, the police would arrest a petty thief named Alfred Noland. Alfred realized he was about to break his parole, so he told the police a story about a woman named Rebecca Fenton. Alfred claimed that he had lived and dated Rebecca for a short time, and he remembers that she was struggling to pay her bills. Alfred claims that while he was living with her, a fight broke out between them about money. During the fight, Rebecca grabbed a kitchen knife and threatened Alfred with it. She told him she would kill him, just like she did Larry, if he didn't get her more money. With Alfred's testimony, the police had enough to bring Rebecca in for another interrogation. This one would only last a few minutes. As soon as Rebecca realized what was happening, she demanded a lawyer. Unfortunately for her, they already had an arrest warrant signed by a judge, so Rebecca was officially charged with murder. Prosecution believed that after her workout, she came inside where Larry was watching TV from the couch. She then went upstairs, grabbed the gun, and went back downstairs to confront Larry. As soon as Larry had seen the gun, he got up and ran to the front door. Rebecca then fired the weapon at her fleeing husband. From there, Rebecca believed that all she had to do was stage a burglary and put a few items into Larry's vehicle, but then she ran out of time and had to abandon the vehicle a few blocks away. She then runs back home and washes the gun residue off her hands. Realizing she was out of time, she hides the gun under her seat, thinking that later she can dispose of the gun properly. The evidence that they had, paired with Alfred's testimony, was enough to convince the jury she was guilty. Rebecca received life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this case. Was Rebecca set up, or is she just a cold-blooded killer?
Wow. Wow. That was a change of events. I was waiting for when they was going to actually, connect her to this murder of her husband. And I was waiting on the motive, but now we know what the motive was. The motive was money. The motive was money. She was looking for that payout big time. I don't know, it was supposed to help with her cosmetics, also with whatever weight loss thing that she was doing, but that was the motive. And the funny thing is, if it wasn't for the guy that she was dealing with, she probably would have gotten away with it, because just think about it. It took them 5 years. 5 years because they couldn't find the weapon, which I thought that's quite odd, right? Because why did they search her vehicle to begin with? Why they didn't do that? I mean, they should have searched her vehicle from the beginning, not only just the husband's vehicle. Search her vehicle, especially when you was looking for the murder weapon, right? You could have got a search warrant for that, just to search her vehicle. Y'all could have found that out within 6 months. It shouldn't have wait until like it was 5 years. It shouldn't have been like 5 years. But that's crazy. Prayers to that man and his family. Very evil woman. She didn't have no remorse for her husband, not a tear. All that fake crying and all the stuff. And then she felt so comfortable of threatening people and unaliving people. She did that to that guy, and him having a criminal record, and he wanted to drop some time off his sentence. He said, hey, listen, I can give you some information of an old case that's about to go cold. And he helped them in that situation, really, because if did not, she would have got away with it, because like I said, they didn't have no murder weapon. They had no murder weapon to tie her to anything, right? And they needed that, and she wouldn't confess. So that's crazy. That's really crazy how that worked out, because we might not even be having this case to discuss if it wasn't for that guy. That's crazy. That's sad. That's really sad. But they should have had definitely checked her vehicle. They should have checked her vehicle. Hi, Brandon. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Appreciate it. Let's see. Washu said if she was smart enough to not have the gun residue and fingerprints plus arson to fool the insurance, why was she stupid enough to stage? She obviously she didn't have enough time. She didn't have enough time. Lil Wayne said, and they say change the law 5 years. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate you. Thank you. Let's see. Lil Wayne said, I thought they found the gun under the seat of her car. Right. They found the gun under the seat of her car, but that took 5 years later for them to find the gun. That means that they did not search her vehicle when the incident happened back in 2008. They only searched the husband vehicle, the one that alleged the robber took away. That's messy. That's really messy. If y'all going to search the whole house, y'all should have searched her vehicle. Y'all would have found the murder weapon then. That's why I'm a little upset about that. It shouldn't have taken like 5 years. 5 years for her to get away with that. That's crazy. All right, guys. So I got one more video for you good folks, and we're going to be heading out after that. So I appreciate you all, everybody who's stopping by, everybody who's just coming in and saying hi and all the commentary. Just make sure you're hitting the like button for the channel. It really helps me, helps the channel, help me stay in the algorithm, and also share out this content if you have people who like these type of cases, okay? All right. So the next video that I have for you guys is is a wannabe gangster is about to F around and find out and get a real serious sentence. So we're going to take a look at this because I think it has to do with a young adult who needs to, who thought they was going to get away with murder. So let's go on.
Unhandcuffed. So that's how we for these.
This is 16-year-old Eric Allmendinger, alongside his grandmother and father, currently inside the Palmer Post interview room in Palmer, Alaska. Eric is being escorted to his seat in order to be questioned regarding the disappearance of one of his friends, David Grunwald. Unbeknownst to Eric, this interrogator already has all of the information that he needs in order to very likely have Eric convicted. He had actually just spent about 35 minutes prior to this moment explaining such evidence to Eric's grandmother and father. Yet, he strategically chooses not to disclose this information to Eric so early into the questioning. However, before we can get back to viewing this interrogation, we need to start about 1 month earlier. On November 13th, 2016, 16-year-old David Grunwald was enjoying his Sunday afternoon hanging out with his girlfriend, Victoria. The two were just taking it easy and lounging around the house, slightly dabbling at their high school homework. After eating supper, at around 6 p.m., David Grunwald approached his mother and said that he was heading out to drive Victoria home. She replied, "Okay, just make sure you're home before 9 p.m. The two then hit the road and David dropped Victoria off at home. David then suddenly calls his mother again. He says that a couple people from school are at his friend Eric's house and that he wanted to stop by on the way home, so he was just hoping he could have a later curfew. His mom then says that that's fine and he can have another half hour and to be home by 9:30 instead. 10 p.m. rolls by and David is nowhere in sight. His mother begins calling and texting him, but he was not responding. So she tries his girlfriend. Victoria answers and confirms that David had dropped her off before 7 p.m. And then he seemed to have been heading home from there. Since David's mom knew which of the friend's house he was stopping by, she then tried to call the friend, Eric. Eric answered, but told her that he hadn't seen David at all that evening. So her concerns continued to escalate, and after driving around for a couple hours looking for David herself, she then decided to contact the police. A missing persons report was filed, and due to the town's population being less than 8,000, law enforcement promptly began an investigation. Law enforcement released pictures of David and spoke of his disappearance on the local news, asking public for any assistance in locating him. And just under 16 hours after reporting David missing, a discovery was made.
David's vehicle was discovered yesterday afternoon up this back dirt road in Wasilla. Now, it had been burned to a crisp, but David wasn't inside. And back at his home, his mother is certain that somebody knows where he is. David is a student at Matsu Career and Tech High School. His mother says he spent Sunday night at the house studying with his girlfriend. He left to take her home, and that's the last time his mother saw him. Around 11:30 that night, she called troopers and filed a missing persons report. Troopers were able to ping his phone yesterday morning along the Palmer-Wasilla Highway, but his mother says no calls or text had been sent since Sunday night. His debit card hasn't been used either. Monday afternoon, David's car was found abandoned and burned on a trail off Church Road. His mother says all of this is extremely out of character for her son.
We don't know anything. We don't know where he's at, what his situation is, where he is, if he's crumpled up somewhere, hurt, or somebody has him against his will somewhere. We don't have any idea, and the more the time goes on.
This is disturbing. This is like one of mother's like worst fears, right? You know, you want your kids to grow, you want your kids to start, being adults and, going out there and, give them liberties and stuff. And you're always fearful in the back of the mind if your child don't come home to you, right? Or don't come home in the same state that they left you. You could see how, distraught and scared this woman is in her face. You could just definitely tell. And with the burning of the vehicle, to me, it does look like somebody tried to burn evidence. The evidence that they would try to burn is blood, DNA, shedded skin, that's what they were trying to get rid of. If this is a murder case, because right now this is not considered a murder case. This is just considered a missing person. So we don't know whether or not if the car just blew up on its own, right? We don't know what happened, but it's just, it really hurts my feelings to seeing his mother's face and how worried she is, like no parent should have to feel like this. Let's go on.
The harder it gets.
It was David's Ford Bronco, found burnt to a crisp and abandoned in a desolate location, hidden within the woods approximately 20 miles from his girlfriend Victoria's house. Based on the way that the vehicle was discovered, it did not take long before the idea of foul play was brought up. And as the days led deeper into the winter, the likelihood of finding David alive was beginning to dwindle as well. Just 3 weeks after discovering David's Ford Bronco, on December 2nd, police made another gruesome discovery.
I thank all of you for help looking for him and being there for me. He was an amazing person, and he will forever be in my heart.
David Grunwald's remains were found frozen solid, left in the snow less than a half hour away from town. His body was immediately examined, and the cause of death was ruled as repeated blunt force trauma to the head and neck, followed by a gunshot wound also to his head. The next day, on December 3rd, 2016, the police publicly state that they have arrested a suspect in the case. That suspect is Eric Allmendinger. As it turns out, investigators had been focused on Eric from very early on in the case, and since Eric was the friend that David claimed to be on his way to visiting that night, it only seemed logical. Investigators checked the highways near the town and followed up any potential tips, but everything seemed to point back towards Eric. On top of this, Eric was acting very strange, denying seeing David for weeks, avoiding several interviews, and not demonstrating any grief over the loss of one of his friends. Regardless, Eric did confirm that David stopped by his house that night. However, Eric stated that he did not see David, and David just dropped off a friend and left. Apparently, Eric then jumped in a cab to Anchorage, traveled the 43 miles to get there, and then partied for the rest of the night into the next morning.
We gotta handle this in advance of it being proven to be a homicide. We have to handle it like it is, just in case. And I would love nothing more than for David to just show up and say, "Hey guys, JK, I was just hiding out for a couple days." That night, do you remember Eric leaving the house? Yeah. Okay. I was thinking where at? I was standing outside.
To put it bluntly, Eric's story didn't make any sense at all, and he was acting extremely suspicious. Investigators continued to try their patience with him, hoping that something somewhere would clear him as a suspect, but things were only piling up against him and getting even worse. They tried to confirm Eric's most recent story regarding the friend being dropped off and Eric's lone party trip to Anchorage, but this again proved to be impossible. So the next step for investigators was to request a search warrant for Eric's belongings. When the warrant was approved, Officers immediately confiscated a number of items from Eric's home, including a tablet. A search was done on this tablet, and a forensics team was able to recover the GPS history of the tablet's movements on the night of November 13th. These movements indicated that Eric had traveled to and from the sites corresponding with David's vehicle and his remains, and so the pressure was now on Eric Allmendinger. Officers then immediately arrested Eric Allmendinger and brought him in for an interview.
Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, just one thing we have to get straight, and that is your rights. Do you understand each of these rights as I've explained to you? Yes, sir. Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to us about your involvement in David Grunwald's disappearance? Eric?
It's over. Okay? I just saw a picture of the inside of my trailer. You guys did a really shitty job at cleaning up all the blood splatter everywhere. Don't. Can I see it? It's very important. Okay? I can't help you if you don't help me. Okay? We've all had enough of the lying for so long now. Now is the time. The DA has said, if you cooperate, things are going to go a lot easier on you. So
Yeah, that's his dad. That's his dad. He's lucky he has a dad that cares about him, bro. Like that. Do you hear how like hurt his father is? Like, I mean, and he probably want to like beat the living daylights out of him for being so stupid. But he's also distraught, and he could tell that he loves his son. But you could just look at his behavior. Look at this boy's behavior, because at this time he is still underage, and that's why the father is here. Look at his behavior. He's acting like a child. He's really acting like a spoiled little brat. He's looking down. He's trying to be gaslighting, like, what blood? What are you talking about? He's like this. Like, he's acting like this is like, he had a chore that he was supposed to do and he didn't do it. And now he's going to, be on punishment. This is how he's taking the whole situation and how he's conducting this interview. He's not taking it seriously. And this is what his father is trying to let him know. Like, listen, cut the act. This is not like you going to your room and you're on punishment, or I'm going to take your cell phone away from you for a month. You have committed a murder. And I'm trying to help you. He's pleading with him to open up and to tell him what happened for his future. This is a very, very serious state right here. And he's really not taking it seriously. He's really think that he's going to act like a spoiled teenager through this.
We need to know that. If you just stood by, we need to know.
I can't believe my son would be a part of this. Of all things. We want to know why.
Why?
What did he have that you wanted?
Nothing.
Then why?
Somebody.
Didn't I just say I didn't have anything to do with this?
Why isn't it not trailer then?
I don't know, didn't it get broken into? No. It really did though.
Eric, you need to stop this. This is enough. You fancy yourself smarter than everybody else. You're beat. You've lost. The opportunity now sits in front of you to take advantage of the chance to come clean, take responsibility for your portion, move on with life. You're 16 years old. You got your whole life ahead of you.
After looking at the picture, I didn't even realize that my lug runner was gone because you had to get rid of that. That's where my green extension cord is. Because you used it to tie it up around David.
The green extension cord is at Melissa's house. You brought it there. That part's true.
Then why didn't you tell me that when I asked about it?
Because you didn't know where it was. Why don't you tell him where you were? I was at Melissa's house. Where? Well, that's only partially true. Why didn't you start at the beginning? I started at the beginning with you, and he already knew as much as you know.
Okay,
That's where you're wrong, Eric.
Cindy, when this happened, you were home when David walked in the back door. You had been with him earlier? Well then, how could...
Because David just come walking down. I would have to be outside, and he just come walking up.
Eric Allmendinger continued to deny any involvement for a major portion of this interrogation. However, throughout the conversation, Eric found himself cornered by evidence that contradicted his claims, causing him to noticeably change his story several times. Until finally, Eric began to crack.
Here, see if you can. What's your cell number?
You've got it. You've got to tell the truth, okay?
8850. I'm just going to text it to you.
Told, honey.
And then you can email it yourself.
Then just say what happened. Swallow that kiss-ass attitude you have, and now start caring for yourself.
It's good advice, sir.
You know we love you.
It's good advice, sir. It's only good if you take it, brother.
Right?
Good advice is only good if you take it.
You know we love you, so come on. What happened that night? You got the brave idea to decide to shoot that child.
Hey, Max, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you.
You gotta say.
No, I have a minor in psychology, but I work with law enforcement.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. But let's get through this together.
Unfortunately, the audio quality throughout the course of this interrogation only goes downhill from here. So I'm going to do my best to summarize Eric's claims. This is Eric's story. On November 13th, David called Eric just after 7 p.m. to see what he was up to. Eric told him that he was partying and had a friend over. So David then came over shortly after the call. After arriving, David, Eric, and another friend, Dominic Johnson, began hanging out in an old camper right behind Eric's house. Apparently, they were all smoking cannabis and having drinks. David turned down the booze since he was still planning to drive home around 9 p.m. David then became selfish with the weed stash and smoked it all, which extremely annoyed Eric and Dom. This is where things got physical. Apparently, after arguing about the weed issue, Dom and Eric pulled out a gun and began striking David on the head with it. David fell to the ground and the beating resumed. The two then pick up David, who is now bleeding heavily and drifting in and out of consciousness, and carried him to the back seat of his own vehicle. They then commandeered the vehicle and drove just under a half hour out of town, towards a heavily wooded area. During the drive, David asked, "Can you just drop me off at home?" But one of the two replied, "You're not going home tonight." They then parked the vehicle, pulled David out from the back seat, walked him a slight distance further into the woods, and then Dominic fired the kill shot. Afterwards, the two headed back to David's vehicle, drove it to another location not very far away, lit it on fire, and then walked for another 30 minutes. They then hailed a cab back to Eric's house. They attempted to clean up the crime scene by burning Eric's carpet and using bleach on any hard surfaces. They then reached out to another friend who allowed them both to spend the night in his unheated shed. This story came across rather twisted and possibly strategically altered, as it seemed to work in favor of the suspects as opposed to against them. For example, Eric is now stating that this crime happened suddenly with zero premeditation. He is accusing David of drug use and claiming that David basically stole something that did not belong to him, resulting in the unexpected altercation. And he is claiming that he did not fire the kill shot. Instead, it was Dominic Johnson. Investigators questioned this story, but continued their search for answers. And it wasn't long before more arrests were made.
Well, today we are getting our first look at the 5 teenagers arrested in connection to David Grunwald's murder.
Eric Allmendinger, Bradley Renfro, Dominic Johnson, and Austin Barrett face murder and kidnapping charges. Allmendinger, Renfro, and Johnson also face a tampering with evidence charge. And Devin Peterson is charged with tampering with evidence and hindering prosecution.
After the charges were placed against Eric following the interrogation, investigators continued to build their case against him. They continued to search Eric's father's property, attempt to reconstruct Eric's actual movements that day, and also forensically recover any deleted phone calls or messages sent to or from Eric. During this process, a discovery was made that implicated the 3 additional suspects. It was a group chat that contained a series of messages vulgarly speaking about the murder, as well as making disgusting statements like this one. F with a 16-year-old genius, see what happens when you're smarter than the ops. It became relatively clear that this was in fact a premeditated murder, one that became a reality when David believed that he was going to a party with his 4 friends. And then such friends, Eric, Austin, Bradley, and Dominic, brutally beat, transported, and then shot him in the woods. The 5th new suspect, Devin Peterson, was only being charged as it became clear that he had known about the murder from the night of, and withheld every detail from the police. Regardless, this group was very evidently comprised of evil, murderous scumbags. One example of their character being on display happened in the courthouse right after the group's first court appearance. This is Bradley Renfro, mouthing to a grieving Grunwald family to do something. Real class act. This is another one of the suspects, Austin Barrett. Austin posted this video to YouTube not long before the murder took place.
Fresh freestyles, fresh air, motherfucker, we don't care. Up here in Alaska, it's cold as fuck like our hearts in our trucks. Motherfucker, what? We got sports cars too and drifting gurus. When you think of us, probably didn't think much, but I'll tell you what, we're takers of fame and game, and your women country living.
Okay, I'm just gonna stop that there. Enough said. About 9 months after the additional 4 arrests were made, in September of 2017, the judge overseeing the case made a determination to have Eric Allmendinger tried alone and the others tried together. This was eventually changed, and they were all tried separately. And on May 8th, 2018, Eric Allmendinger's trial began. The prosecution came out strong, outlining the exact movements of nearly every person involved as told by their own personal GPS history. He went on to explain each injury that David Grunwald received and had a medical expert explain precisely how these injuries happened. He even managed to find a series of photos from the days immediately after David's murder, which displayed the 5 suspects partying as if nothing ever happened, clearly demonstrating a complete lack of guilt. Eric's defense tried to paint Eric as if he was also a victim that night, stating that he was surely a part of the chat and making jokes about it, but he was not the one who pulled the trigger, and that he was suffering emotionally due to what he witnessed. This is actually quite strange, considering the way that he seemed to enjoy giving the play-by-play during the latter part of his interrogation.
No, he pushes him into the spot, and he's still standing. And he turns him around facing us, and as soon as he looks up at Andrew, that's when the bullet goes. And he does nothing but just drop, his legs give out, his head hits the ground before his body does.
All of Eric's accomplices went on to state that Eric was the lone gunman that was also pulling the strings and orchestrating each move. And Eric and Dominic were both eventually found guilty of first-degree and second-degree murder, manslaughter, kidnapping, evidence tampering, vehicle theft, and arson. During Brad Renfro's trial, Brad made the decision to testify. He went on to claim that he was there but had no part in the beating or shooting of David. He was unable to stop Eric and Dominic, so he just went along with it. His play-by-play of the evening was relatively similar to that of Eric's, other than making it clear that the plan to murder David came up suddenly while David was in the bathroom. After everything, Eric Allmendinger and Dominic Johnson were sentenced to 99 years behind bars. Bradley Renfro, aka Mr. Do Something, received the heaviest sentence of 105 years. However, 30 of those years are suspended. Horrible rapper Austin Barrett decided to plead guilty and received a sentence of 45 years. Devin Peterson received a 6-year sentence for tampering with evidence after making a plea deal.
Okay, that was a crazy case. Number one, excuse my language, I fucking hate drill rap. All right? I really do. I hate drill rap. And I hope that anybody who has common sense hate drill rap. Drill rap is all about people talking about them unaliving other people in their lyrics. I hate drill rap. And it seems like these young dudes got caught up in that drill rap fake gangster life. And while they're smoking weed, and it seemed to me it was premeditated now, right? At first, you would think that, oh, maybe they were under the influence of weed and alcohol or some other substance, and they got in an argument depending on he took weed that they thought that he wasn't supposed to smoke, and that's how the altercation started. But nonetheless, it was premeditated, because even if they got in a fight, in an argument, once they lift him up and put him in his own vehicle, everything they did afterwards was premeditated. And the simple fact that they went online and they talking about it in the group chat like they getting a kick out of it. Stupid ass boy go and do a a drill rap of the whole situation online that they was able to pull from, to let him know that, you knew about this, you knew about the whereabouts. Then the text messages and stuff, it's all those kids are 16 years old. They ain't never seen the light of day again. I mean, they deserve exactly what they got, but I'm just thinking about everything in totality. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Even what they did to David, he didn't do anything to deserve that. Nothing. Y'all all sitting around in the back smoking weed and drinking where I don't know what's the legal age in Alaska for drinking. It could be younger. I don't know. I thought it was 21, right? But y'all all drinking and y'all all smoking. He would just, he wanted to smoke a little bit more. So that's what you do. You beat a boy to the Pope, and then you shoot him in the head in the woods for that. Disgusting human beings. Disgusting human beings. And I really do hate drill rap. I really do. I really, really, really do. And I wish that they will stop allowing drill rap to be on the airways. That is my opinion, and I don't give a fuck what anybody feel about it. I don't like rap. So I want to say thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you for rocking out with me for this long. These cases were very interesting. Some of them was like, girl, you was messy. The one that we saw prior to that, we had the case of the fit of rage and jealousy, and then obviously we just seen 5 kids ruin their life, literally just throw their life away. Now they're going to really know what the real hard knock life is, when they thought that it was living a hard knock life in Alaska. Okay. I really do hate the music. I mean, I really do. But anyway, I really do want to say shout out to everyone rocking out with me this long. I hope that y'all have a lovely evening. Enjoy the rest of your lovely evening. Please hit the like button while on your way out. It definitely helps the channel. Share this content with anybody who likes these type of cases. If you have any cases that you would like me to review, you can leave it in the comment section after the live stream is over. I will take some time to review it, research it, and present it the next time. I will go live. I'll be live again this Thursday coming up, so just stay tuned to that. And I really do hope that everyone has a great, lovely evening, and stay warm, right? Because it's cold out there. So stay warm, everyone. And I'll see you soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.